The narcissist's reign ends. 6 divine ways God protects you. Have you ever wondered why certain people come into your life only to cause chaos, manipulation, and emotional pain? Have you ever found yourself trapped in a cycle of deception, wondering how someone who once seemed so charming turned into a source of endless hurt? Has dealing with a narcissist affected your relationships, leaving you feeling drained, confused, and questioning your worth? Do you ever wonder why God allowed this person into your life in the first place? Could there be a deeper purpose behind this painful experience? What if I told you there's a divine principle that reveals how God not only protects you from narcissistic abuse, but also strengthens, restores, and realigns you with your true purpose? In today's story, we'll uncover 6 powerful ways God shields you from the narcissist's reign and leads you into a life of freedom, renewal, and divine alignment. So stay with me as we walk through these transformative truths. And if you love biblical wisdom that deepens your faith, make sure to like this video and subscribe to Sermons of C.S. Lewis for more powerful insights. Let's dive in. 1. God exposes the narcissist's deception. One of the most powerful ways God protects you is by exposing deception. At first, a narcissist can appear kind, charming, and even godly. They say the right things, do what seems right, and make you feel like you've found someone trustworthy. But over time, their true nature begins to show: manipulation, control, and selfishness hidden beneath a carefully crafted mask. Why does God allow this? Because He wants to sharpen your discernment. He doesn't just want you to see people for who they pretend to be. He wants you to see them for who they truly are. When deception is revealed, it can be painful, but wouldn't you rather know the truth than live in a lie? People want clarity. They want to know who truly loves them, who is for them, and who is against them. They want to be surrounded by relationships that bring peace, not chaos. And this is exactly why God exposes deception, so you won't waste time on people who were never meant to be part of your future. This principle has helped countless people walk away from toxic relationships before they caused even greater damage. When you develop the mindset that truth is a gift, even when it hurts, you begin to see God's protection in every exposure. Knowing the truth sets you free, but ignoring it keeps you in bondage. It's not just about knowing, it's about doing. When someone's true nature is revealed, will you take action, or will you stay, hoping they'll change? Sometimes, the hardest thing to do is accept that a person is exactly who God is showing you they are. If someone's actions consistently show manipulation, deceit, and selfishness, you must believe them the first time. When people act the wrong way, you don't have to retaliate, argue, or prove your worth to them. Instead, let their actions speak for themselves. Walk in wisdom, set boundaries, and trust that God sees everything. This principle helps you appreciate even painful revelations because they protect you from greater harm. So what should you do when God reveals the truth? Don't ignore it. Pray for wisdom, seek godly counsel, and have the courage to distance yourself from toxic people. The sooner you accept the truth, the sooner you'll walk into the freedom God has for you. A perfect example of this in the Bible is Judas Iscariot. Jesus knew from the beginning that Judas would betray him, yet he didn't try to change him. Instead, he allowed Judas to reveal his true nature. The positive aspect? Jesus wasn't blindsided. He knew God's plan and trusted the process. The negative aspect? Judas's betrayal led to suffering, but it also fulfilled prophecy. The truth may hurt, but deception destroys. Which one will you choose? C.S. Lewis once said, "Courage, dear heart." It takes courage to face the truth, but it's the first step toward healing. If this spoke to you, make sure to subscribe for the next principle. It will be just as powerful. Stay tuned, because God is leading you into something greater. 2. God strengthens your inner resilience. One of the greatest ways God protects you from the damage of a narcissist is by strengthening your inner resilience. When you go through pain, betrayal, and manipulation, it can either break you or build you. God allows challenges not to destroy you, but to develop something in you that nothing else can: spiritual and emotional strength. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to rise above the pain while others remain stuck in it? Why do some people grow stronger after betrayal while others live in bitterness? The difference isn't what happens to them, it's what happens in them. People want peace. They want to wake up in the morning without the weight of past wounds pulling them down. They want to be strong enough to walk away from toxic people without feeling guilty. They want to stop overthinking and doubting themselves. And this is exactly why resilience is so important, because it frees you from the power of the narcissist long after they are gone. This principle has helped countless people reclaim their confidence and identity after experiencing manipulation and control. When you realize that God is using this season to build you into someone stronger, you stop feeling like a victim and start stepping into victory. This mindset is powerful because it shifts your focus from "why did this happen to me" to "what is God teaching me through this?" The moment you stop seeing your pain as meaningless and start seeing it as preparation, everything changes. But it's not enough to just know this. You must live it. What happens when someone mistreats you, belittles you, or manipulates you? Do you let their words define you, or do you stand firm in who God says you are? The truth is, people will act the wrong way. They will say things, do things, and try to break you. But your strength comes from knowing that their opinion does not shape your destiny. God does. This principle even helps you appreciate the pain because it shows you just how much you've grown. The things that once triggered you no longer have power over you. The words that once cut deep now barely touch you. Not because the situation changed, but because you did. So what should you do in these situations? First, guard your heart. Proverbs 4:23. Second, stand in truth, not emotion. Third, remember that God is using this to prepare you for something greater. A powerful biblical example of resilience is Joseph. Betrayed by his own brothers, sold into slavery, falsely accused and imprisoned, yet he never let bitterness take over. The positive aspect, he became second in command of Egypt, fulfilling God's purpose. The negative aspect, if he had given up in prison, he would have never walked in his destiny. Your pain is not wasted. It is making you unshakable. Will you let God strengthen you, or will you let the enemy break you? C.S. Lewis once said, "Hardships often prepare ordinary people for an extraordinary destiny." If this message spoke to you, subscribe and stay tuned for the next principle. God is building something powerful in you, and you don't want to miss it. 3. God removes the narcissist from your life. There comes a time when God steps in and removes toxic people from your life, whether you're ready or not. You may have prayed for clarity, for peace, or for healing, but when the answer comes in the form of separation, it can feel painful. Yet, what if the very thing you're fighting to hold on to is the thing God is trying to remove? Have you ever found yourself asking, "Why did this person leave? Why did things suddenly fall apart?" Maybe you thought things were getting better, only to watch them unravel. Could it be that God saw something you didn't? People want security. They want to be surrounded by relationships that bring joy, not anxiety. They want connections that uplift, not drain. But often what we want and what we need are two different things. Sometimes the only way to truly find peace is for God to remove the very thing that is stealing it. This principle has helped so many people break free from destructive cycles. When you realize that God's no is actually a form of protection, you stop resisting and start trusting. The truth is, God is never trying to hurt you. He is trying to heal you. This mindset is life-changing because it shifts your focus from rejection to redirection. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you begin asking, "Where is God leading me next?" When you trust that every removal is for your good, you stop holding on to people who were never meant to stay. But it's not just about understanding this truth, it's about acting on it. What do you do when someone walks away, betrays you, or cuts you off? Do you chase after them, trying to fix what God is trying to break? Or do you surrender and let God do what He knows is best? When people act the wrong way, when they show you who they truly are, believe them. Don't beg, don't bargain, and don't try to change what God has already exposed. This principle helps you appreciate even painful endings because they are often the beginning of something greater. So what should you do in these situations? First, let go. Second, trust God's plan. Third, walk forward without looking back. A powerful biblical example of this is Saul and David. At one point, Saul was a mentor and leader to David, but his jealousy and control became toxic. God eventually removed Saul from power, allowing David to step into his destiny. The positive aspect, David became king, fulfilling God's promise. The negative aspect, if David had clung to Saul, he might have never walked into his calling. When God removes someone, it's never to leave you empty. It's to make room for something better. Will you fight his process, or will you trust his plan? C.S. Lewis once said, "There are far, far better things ahead than any we leave behind." If this message spoke to you, subscribe and stay tuned for the next principle. God's plan is unfolding, and you don't want to miss what's next. 4. God begins the process of mental and spiritual renewal. When God removes toxic people from your life, He doesn't just leave you empty. He begins a process of renewal. He starts working on your mind, healing your heart, and restoring your spirit. But this process isn't always easy. Sometimes, even after the narcissist is gone, their words still echo in your mind. Their manipulation still affects how you see yourself. And you may wonder, why do I still feel broken, even though they're no longer in my life? Have you ever felt like you've moved on physically, but mentally and emotionally, you're still trapped? Have you ever asked yourself, why do I keep replaying the past? Why do I still feel unworthy, even though I know the truth? Healing isn't just about removing the person, it's about removing their influence over you. People want freedom. They want to wake up and feel peace instead of pain. They want to stop doubting themselves, stop feeling anxious, and start truly living. And this is why renewal is so important, because without it, you can walk away from the narcissist but still carry their damage with you. This principle has helped so many people break free from emotional strongholds. When you realize that healing is a process, not an instant event, you stop being frustrated with yourself. You give yourself grace. You begin to understand that renewal takes time, but it is worth it. This mindset is critical because it shifts your focus from just escaping the narcissist to truly healing from them. It's not enough to be free physically. You must be free mentally and spiritually too. If you don't allow God to renew your mind, you might find yourself in another toxic cycle with a different person, repeating the same patterns. But knowing this isn't enough. You must actively participate in your renewal. When negative thoughts come, do you accept them, or do you replace them with God's truth? When memories of the past try to haunt you, do you dwell on them, or do you speak life over yourself? When people act the wrong way, even after you've distanced yourself, you don't have to engage. You don't have to defend yourself. Instead, focus on your healing. This principle helps you appreciate the process because you begin to see progress, even in small steps. So what should you do in these situations? First, guard your mind. Second, immerse yourself in God's truth. Third, be patient with yourself. Healing is a journey. A powerful biblical example of renewal is Paul. Before he became a mighty apostle, he was Saul, a persecutor of Christians. But when God transformed him, his renewal didn't happen overnight. He spent years unlearning his old ways and being filled with the truth. The positive aspect, he became one of the most powerful voices for Christ. The negative aspect, if he had refused to renew his mind, he would have remained trapped in his past identity. You are not who the narcissist said you were. You are who God says you are. Will you allow him to renew you, or will you hold on to the past? C.S. Lewis once said, "You can't go back and change the beginning, but you can start where you are and change the ending." If this message spoke to you, subscribe and stay tuned for the next principle. God is making all things new, and you don't want to miss it. God restores you and aligns you with your purpose. When you've been in a toxic relationship with a narcissist, you may feel like you've lost yourself. You've spent so much time walking on eggshells, questioning your worth, and trying to make things work that you barely recognize who you are anymore. But here's the good news. God is in the business of restoration. He doesn't just heal the wounds. He brings you back to the person He created you to be and sets you on the path of your true purpose. Have you ever wondered, how do I move forward after all this pain? Can I ever feel whole again? Maybe you've even asked, what was the point of everything I went through? The truth is, nothing is wasted. Every tear, every heartbreak, every sleepless night, God is using it all for something greater. People want meaning. They want to know that their suffering wasn't in vain. They want to wake up with a sense of direction, knowing they are moving towards something bigger than their past. And this is why restoration is so important, because it doesn't just heal the wounds, it gives purpose to the pain. This principle has helped so many people step into a life they never thought was possible. When you understand that God is restoring you for something greater, you stop dwelling on what was lost and start focusing on what's ahead. Instead of asking, "Why did this happen?" you begin asking, "What is God preparing me for?" This mindset is powerful because it shifts you from victimhood to victory. You stop seeing yourself as someone who barely survived and start seeing yourself as someone who is thriving. The moment you realize that your story is not over, you begin to live with renewed strength. But it's not enough to just know this, you have to walk in it. What do you do when reminders of the past creep in? Do you let them pull you back into pain? Or do you declare that God is making all things new? When people who doubted you see your growth and try to bring you down, do you listen to them, or do you keep moving forward? When people act the wrong way, when they mock your healing, question your growth, or try to drag you back, you don't have to prove anything to them. Your restoration will speak for itself. This principle helps you appreciate the journey because you begin to see that even the darkest moments had a purpose. So what should you do in these situations? First, embrace the process. Restoration takes time. Second, focus on the new, not the old. Third, step boldly into the purpose God is revealing to you. A powerful biblical example of restoration is Job. He lost everything, his wealth, his health, even his family, but God restored him double for everything he lost. The positive aspect, Job came out stronger, wiser, and more blessed than before. The negative aspect, if Job had given up in the middle of his pain, he would have never seen his restoration. Your story is not over. God is taking what was meant to destroy you and using it to build you. Will you trust him with your restoration, or will you let the past define you? C.S. Lewis once said, "There are far better things ahead than any we leave behind." If this message spoke to you, subscribe and stay tuned for the next principle. Your restoration is only the beginning. God is leading you into something greater. 6. God aligns you with the right people for help. After enduring the pain of a toxic relationship, one of the greatest blessings God gives is the right people. He doesn't just heal you and leave you isolated, he surrounds you with those who will support, uplift, and guide you. But sometimes, after experiencing betrayal and manipulation, it's hard to trust again. You may find yourself asking, "How do I know who's genuine? What if I get hurt again?" Have you ever felt like no one truly understands what you've been through? Have you ever wondered, why is it so hard to find people who actually care? The truth is, healing doesn't happen in isolation. God places the right people in your life at the right time, but you must be willing to receive them. People want connection. They want to feel seen, valued, and understood. They want relationships that are built on trust, not control, on love, not manipulation. And this is why surrounding yourself with the right people is so important, because who you walk with determines where you go. This principle has helped so many people step into a new season of life. When you recognize that not everyone is meant to go with you into your future, you stop trying to hold on to those who belong in your past. Instead, you open your heart to the new relationships God is sending. This mindset is powerful because it shifts your focus from isolation to restoration. Instead of believing the lie that you're better off alone, you begin to see that God uses people to heal people. The moment you stop fearing connection, you allow yourself to be surrounded by the right voices. But it's not enough to just know this, you have to act on it. What do you do when trustworthy people enter your life? Do you push them away out of fear, or do you embrace the support God is sending? When people remind you of your worth, do you believe them, or do you hold on to the lies from your past? When people act the wrong way, when they try to pull you back into toxic cycles or make you feel guilty for moving on, you don't have to explain yourself. God is writing a new chapter in your life, and not everyone is meant to be in it. This principle helps you appreciate the good people God places in your life instead of dwelling on those who hurt you. So what should you do in these situations? First, pray for discernment. Ask God to show you who is truly meant to be in your life. Second, allow yourself to trust again. True healing happens in community. Third, be intentional about surrounding yourself with people who speak life into you. A powerful biblical example of this is Ruth and Naomi. After losing her husband, Ruth could have chosen isolation, but instead she aligned herself with Naomi. That decision led her to Boaz, her destiny, and a future far greater than her past. The positive aspect? Ruth's willingness to walk with the right person led her to restoration and blessing. The negative aspect? If she had stayed in Moab with the wrong people, she would have never stepped into God's plan. The right people will build you up, not break you down. Will you allow God to align you with them, or will you let fear keep you isolated? C.S. Lewis once said, "Friendship is born at that moment when one person says to another, 'What, you too? I thought I was the only one.'" If this message spoke to you, subscribe and stay tuned for more. God is still working, and your journey to healing and purpose is just beginning. Conclusion. We have covered some powerful truths about how God protects, heals, and restores you after dealing with a narcissist. It's not just about escaping their control. It's about stepping into the fullness of what God has for you. Each principle we discussed is a step in your journey to freedom, healing, and purpose. We started by seeing how God exposes the narcissist's deception, opening your eyes to the truth so you're no longer trapped in manipulation. Then we saw how God strengthens your inner resilience, giving you the courage to break free and stand firm. But freedom isn't just about leaving, it's about removing their influence over your life. That's why we discussed how God removes the narcissist from your life, and then begins the process of mental and spiritual renewal, helping you heal from the damage they caused. Once healing begins, God doesn't leave you empty. Instead, He restores you and aligns you with your purpose, showing you that your pain was not wasted. And finally, we saw how God aligns you with the right people, surrounding you with those who will support, uplift, and strengthen you. Each of these principles is a piece of the puzzle. When you put them together, you see the bigger picture. God has been protecting you all along. Even in your darkest moments, He was working behind the scenes, leading you to a place of healing and renewal. But here's the key. Knowing these truths is not enough. You must act on them. Will you hold on to the past, or will you step into the future God has for you? Will you let fear keep you stuck, or will you embrace the healing process? Remember what C.S. Lewis said, "There are far, far better things ahead than any we leave behind." God is calling you forward. Trust Him, move forward, and step into the life He has prepared for you. If this message spoke to you, subscribe and stay connected. Your journey doesn't end here. This is just the beginning of a new chapter.